The Podsters, episode 32.
Welcome back, Podsters.
Hello, hello.
Podsterinos.
And Podsteranos.
Welcome back to another lovely episode of Podsters, where we stir shit up.
Yes, let's stir some shit up.
Yes, let's start. Before we start, though, I'd like to ask you, what do you do to, I guess, prepare yourself for the Podsters? Do you, I don't know, take a walk and think about things, or, I don't know.
You're asking me?
Yeah, you.
I don't know. There's just so much stuff that randomly pops into my head.
But is there anything that you do to prepare to be...
Oh, you mean to be on the air?
On the air, so to speak, I guess, or on
to
the,
be as
on
a
the
lot
cast?
Of, like a lot of old people that still refer to podcasting as radio.
Yeah.
Do I prepare to be on the radio, or how do I do it?
Yeah, do you do voice warm-ups or something? Because your voice is pretty good, I would have to say.
Oh, I attribute that to sparkling water and Marlboros. No, I really don't do much. Yeah, that's what I do. I have a big glass of bubbly water and 1 or 2 cigarettes, and here we are.
Nice.
Must be nice.
I was just curious if you had a little routine, warm-up routine, per se.
That's about the warm-up routine. I don't do any voice coaching trainings or anything. Mama, 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 mama. Mama, 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 mama. No, I'm not like my uncle, the opera singer.
You have an uncle that's an opera singer?
Yeah, but he's not famous, but he sings opera, or he used to.
You never told me that.
Oh, yeah, it's the same uncle. He's artistic. He draws and stuff, and he played in skiffle bands, and he was singing opera for, I don't know, a long time.
Really?
Yep.
Did he go on tour?
No, it was more local stuff, but he sang. Stuff? Yeah, but he did all this whole, what's it called? Christmas shows and stuff like that.
And
his voice coach was this super... I don't know how you met this guy, but he's the guy that also knows the King of Sweden. So he meets random people.
Uh-huh.
But his voice coach, I can't remember his name now, was this really fancy opera singer from Sweden that did tour and stuff.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it came in handy when... I never really did lead vocals for any musical projects, but a lot of background vocals and backup vocals. So it came in handy to have an uncle where you could go and how do I do this without messing up my voice? Especially when you do, a month on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool.
Wow, that's very interesting. I did not know that about your uncle.
Yep. Yet another hidden secret fact
about my uncle. You guys are also very talented. I'm somewhat envious.
We are from an artistic family. There's been a lot of... it sounds weird, but the equivalency almost of Tejano bands here, local, no, but where they play sort of country and local, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I had a lot of relatives that did the whole sort of Swedified country music. It was really popular in the 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Like folk music, more or less?
Folk music mixed with American country
okay.
music.
Okay.
They played accordion and guitars and stuff.
Huh.
And, that's why my third cousin, he's a better guitar player than me. And more famous than me. We're an artistic family, for sure.
Definitely. And then you have a cousin once removed or something like that that's pretty famous, too.
Yep, I do.
I don't know if he's once removed or he's still cousin.
I don't know.
Y'all are still within the same bloodline.
Yeah, we're in the same. we're all in the same bloodline. So,
but yeah, that person's pretty famous too.
Yeah. So we're an artistic family for sure. But no,
so envious.
For the Podsters, I don't do any voice
warm up
or anything. This is just normal, regular me.
Okay, so I wanted to start off by talking about politics.
Yes!
Especially Texas politics. It's so juicy right now, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty... Well, I don't know if it's juicy, but it's certainly out there because don't we both have a governor election?
Yes, we have a gubernatorial election and then the Texas U.S. Senate race is going on as well.
Right. So which one of those, I have to ask you because I don't really know. In terms of the population of Texas, which of those... what do you call it? Like seats or whatever is the most important? Governor or Senate?
I would have to say, I think the U.S. Senate seat is more important.
Okay, that explains why it's more commercials and stuff regarding the candidates running for that.
Yeah, I think, well, I just, it's very hard to say. But I think, I think it's more important, and you're seeing more of these commercials because, I mean, the Republicans could very well lose.
Well, yeah, in the Senate, you mean?
In the Senate, yes.
Okay, yeah, no, I was just curious because really, if you think about it, you don't see a whole lot of commercials between, what's his name? Abbott?
Greg Abbott and...
Abbott and Costello?
Greg Abbott and Democratic...
what's her name? Norma?
Nominee Lupe Valdez.
I want to say Norma Valdez for some reason, but I don't know why.
She kind of looks like a Norma.
Maybe that's why. I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, you do see that they do have the debates and stuff, but you don't really see a lot of commercials for it. It's all...
Yeah, it's kind of sad. And like, I was very intrigued when they showed a debate on, local news and stuff. And I was really excited to see what Lupe Valdez had to say about, anything, because I wasn't too I kind of had a glimpse of her platform, but I'm still kind of like, well, she's got to put something out there to really stand her ground. And so I was rooting for her.
Yeah.
She's the underdog per se, and for some reason I have an affinity for underdogs.
Right. Don't we all?
Yeah. And just walked an underdog. Mr. Kingsley Pingsley. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
He is wagging his tail and slapping my knee with his tail.
Big Buddy just came into the room too.
Yeah. Penny's been in here too, by the way. Anyway, so back to Lupe. I mean, she was previously a sheriff for Dallas County. She's a Democrat. And she's the underdog of the gubernatorial race.
Right.
And I mean, she's very passionate about what she stands for. I get it. And I mean, she's a Latina and she's running for governor, and I want her to win, but after watching that debate, I was like, oh God, why?
What was wrong with it?
I honestly have to say that she, like I said, she's passionate about what she believes in, but she couldn't back up her facts. She was very emotional. Yeah. And kind of shooting from the hip when she was talking. And I was like, that's not how a debate works, lady.
Right. But
so I don't know. I mean, I could compare the way she's campaigning and stuff and the way she speaks. I could totally compare her to Trump at this point. When Trump would go out and speak, and he spoke in his layman terms, and everybody loved him because he was going to get shit done. And he was going to make America great again. I think she's using those tactics, but for some reason, those tactics aren't working for her. However, it worked for Trump.
Well,
don't you think the difference?
Don't you think, first of all, it's kind of interesting. Don't you think that there's trends in politics too? I mean, in terms of first you had Well, I don't know before Obama, but when Obama, the first time he was going to get elected or tried to run for president, he went on the whole change thing. He was going to go to Washington and stir shit up, more or less. He was
he was a podster before podsters. Yeah, an OG podster.
And then
that's awesome.
And then, like, after that, it's kind of like, well, he won his second term too. And then, since you can't have a third term in the U.S., the next run where Trump was in a sense, he kind of jumped on that bandwagon too, right? I mean, in terms of he wasn't a politician. He was going to go to Washington and change things, yada, yada, yada. And on top of that, he pressed very hard for the fact that, A, he wasn't a politician. He did things in layman's terms. And in a sense, he kind of just told people what they wanted to hear. Right. Like you said, without a plan, without a backup, without
any kind of, like, strategy.
No, and people asked about his strategy. You just go, well, I have a plan. Oh,
and
can we see the plan? No, it's going to work. It's going to be huge.
Fail-proof.
Right.
Or whatever. I don't even know if he used that. I doubt that he even used that term.
I think that was too nice of a word for him to use. But don't you think that she, like you said, she's trying to jump on that whole thing too, that let's make Greg Abbott look like the career politician, and she's one of the people.
Definitely, because she really kind of hit on the fact that, his special interests and stuff like that were pretty much, how things are, and especially like with the good old boy system where he would just bring his friends into these different positions within the state government to run whatever with his special interest.
Yeah, and I think
his motives at hand.
Yeah, so I think she's trying to do the whole. She's one of the people.
Yeah.
But I think in to circle back to why didn't it work? From what I saw of the debates, I think if you're going to pull that kind of Trump card, so to speak, you have to do it with that crazy, like, Adolf Hitler conviction. You just got to run people. You can't say, sit there and look nice and cute, and then kind of
she kind of blubbered and blundered.
Well, that too, but I mean, she didn't sound convincing. If you're going to convince people that you're one of them, and how are you going to solve things? I have a plan. You can't kind of sit there and look scared and go, I have a plan for that. You kind of just got to, run him over 180 miles an hour. I have a plan, and it's going to be great, and it's going to work, and it's going to be the best plan there ever was. You can't sit there and just, a plan? And I think that's why she didn't really carried people over on it, because she didn't sound decisive.
Exactly. She wasn't really standing her ground.
No, you really gotta do it.
When you make these statements of conviction, you gotta back it up.
Well, and then once again, if you can't back it up, you just gotta really have that conviction to begin with.
You just gotta
own it. And I think she didn't really do that.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if it was bad planning on her. I'm sure she has like a staff of.
She may have been nervous or something. I don't know.
That too.
But Greg Abbott, I have to give him props for the fact that he was pretty cool. He was as cool as a cucumber, pointing and using his hands when he talked, and he was just like, he had this smug smile, because
I think he's
a lot of the things that she said were just kind of like, you're not really making any sense, Well,
I think it does take a lot of grooming. It's hard enough really to make a podcast for 30 minutes and really not speak too slow with too much interruption, too much airtime, like dead space.
You got to keep it going.
Yeah, but it's hard. And I think if you put someone like her in that position, compared to a well-groomed politician that has how many years of experience?
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be rough.
I feel for her, because I'm kind of like that, in the sense that I can't speak off the cuff kind of thing. I have to sit and think about what I'm going to say, because I know myself, and I may say something stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like cautious to speak. So in a debate kind of situation, I would definitely have to keep rehearsing and rehearsing and rehearsing.
Yeah, and I think that's what they failed on. It's almost like they told her, no, let's not do too much. You'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, just answer it. Whereas he probably had hours of grooming.
Well, not only that, he's a career politician. So, I mean, it's...
Right. No, to begin with, he has it in his backbone. But then I'm sure even for these debates, they go over questions and stuff like that.
Backbone. That's bad. No. That's bad. Anyway, so, if you don't get that, then look it up. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
No, I just think that she was put in a bad spot by her own staff.
Right. She needs to get rid of,
unfortunately,
fire her campaign manager or something.
Yeah, being on stage is hard. I think that goes for anything. You can even bring up all these
being questioned, and being put on the spot constantly.
Right?
Yeah, that takes a lot of nerve.
Yeah. So I think they should have groomed her a little bit better. They should have trained more for the debates and stuff. Hopefully there's more debates coming up before people make up their minds. Because she has valid points, but... She does. But who knows?
Yeah, and I was kind of interested to say, or to hear both of them talk about medical marijuana in Texas.
Uh-huh.
And possibly approving it and stuff. And I'm just like, I'm elated. Not for the sheer fact that I could possibly have it or anything like that. But there's a lot of people out there that could very well use the stuff and make their lives better.
Right. And I think you have to... First off, there's so much in that debate that it's almost a Podster episode on its own.
But we'll definitely have to circle around back to that.
Right, but I think in short, number one, alcohol is legal. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, I've never seen anybody on marijuana that gets really stupid and violent and
belligerent.
Right.
Yeah.
So that alone,
like go have like alcohol poisoning and stuff like that.
Right.
You don't see anybody like having weed poisoning or something.
No, that and also I think that I guess the quote unquote Nixon war on drugs worked, but I know so many people that have and are still smoking weed that don't turn into heroin addicts or crack addicts. So it's not the gateway drug they try to tell you.
It's such a misconception.
It is. And really, when it comes to medical marijuana, let's face it, people, because there's so many people that scream and shout about it. Stuff that's medically legal is... amphetamines.
Far more worse than...
Yeah, you have amphetamines, you have
marijuana,
chemical heroin.
Yeah.
You have opioids.
Right.
That are approved for medical use. So if we push on this for medical use, we're not talking about go to HEB and buy weed.
Pharmaceutical companies aren't pushing to get medical marijuana on the...
Well, that's a problem for them, though.
If they don't start getting on board with the whole medical marijuana...
The problem with the pharmaceutical companies is that they're not the growers. They're not the owners of the original product, and they're way too late.
I can only imagine what they could do if they teamed up with the medical marijuana growers and stuff like that.
I think the growers...
But
are not interested in dealing with the pharmaceutical companies. So I think it's a monetary thing.
That's a good point.
But circle back on monetary thing. It would bring in so much tax revenue.
It would.
To the state that I think simply for the monetary value for the states, it's stupid to not legalize.
Right.
The revenues you would rake, even from just medical use... That's a lot of money that could go to schools and roads and transport and whatever you want to use it for.
Donating to cities and stuff like that. We see it now in the city that we live in. It's like the number one, growing city in Texas. And let's just say the city isn't prepared for it, but yet they keep approving to build more houses. Right. to bring more people in, yet they're not doing anything for the expansion of roads and even parks and stuff like that.
So I mean,
they're just don't get me started on that. But yeah,
no, but I mean the weed money could go on that. But
definitely
circle back on that. So
and
what was their stand?
Maybe school taxes wouldn't be so expensive.
Right? It's ridiculous.
Right?
Those fucking kids should eat lobster and get driven by taxis every day for what I pay.
No shit, they shouldn't have to walk to school.
Or
take the bus.
Buses that don't stop where they should.
Get like an Uber driver every day to drive them to school, to and from school.
For what I pay, they should. But circle back. So what was their stand on medical marijuana?
Well, she was all for it, and so, she didn't. Like I said, she didn't really back it up. But Abbott did even agree that medical marijuana could really help people in need, and I don't think he really focused on the fact that yes, it would put money in the state's pocket.
Right. Because it would.
But my thing is that Lupe Valdez, she had her stance was on education and funding for cities. So and I really agreed with her, but like I said, she just didn't have anything to back it up.
No, that's sad.
And I've been put in those situations where you're in the spotlight and you have people questioning you. I've been through like a tribunal kind of thing, and that's scary as shit. Especially when it was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. I was like, I don't know. We just need to do this.
Well, I mean, hopefully that wasn't the last debate.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't, but yeah, since we don't have local news anymore, it might be hard to find. I could just very well Google it.
Right. Well,
just Google it.
Just Google it.
So,
well, yeah. Mrs. Valdez, get some training. Please
clean up your act, please, because I really.
Isn't she kind of old too, though?
She's old, and I think she's lesbian.
Oh,
she's.
You heard it first here.
No,
I'm just
messing. No, I think it's been out in the news and stuff like that. But yeah, she is lesbian.
I don't care about that, but I mean, her age is a little bit concerning to me.
Her age, her race. The fact that she's
I don't care about her race or the fact that she's female.
The thing is, she's got a lot of things against her at this point.
True.
And like I was listing it off. It's her age, her race, her gender,
sexual orientation,
and her sexual orientation.
Yeah. Well, hopefully she gets trained a bit better by her staff. And good luck to you. May the best man win. Yeah,
do some training, do some crunches and stuff, and go out there and be a Wonder Woman.
Right.
So, speaking of, well, I guess heroes. I just I get so upset when I hear stories of war vets and just veterans in general that aren't getting the assistance from the government that they need as far as like medical assistance and stuff. And I have to say that my bullshit of the week is gonna be the lack of government effort to support the VA and war vet rehabilitation.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that thing to me is crazy because they are technically, anyone in any military branch is a government employee, right?
Right.
So why are they being thrown away as disposable garbage coming home?
Right, I don't get it, because you know what? When you join the military, you're pretty much, you are the U.S. government's property.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
That's why, like, the guys that go into, like, basic training and stuff like that, they can't get tattoos while they're in basic training because they're property of the government.
Right. So
stuff.
why does the government all of a sudden decide that they're disposable garbage when they return home?
I don't know.
It's such a shame, and that's one thing I want to say right now. When we criticize the U.S. way of dealing with foreign, what should we call it, foreign affairs, as in wars and stuff, we are not ragging on the men and women doing service.
No, not at all.
We are ragging on the government, and especially part of our thing is that the government here takes young men and women, turning them into killing machines, which, by the way, they're not really doing a great job at turning them into those actual machines.
Yeah.
Send them off to wars that shouldn't be fought in the first place. And that creates a lot of trauma for the people that were sent off. And upon coming home, there is no help. We shouldn't even have drives. Like, what's it called? Those charity drives for veterans.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we shouldn't have them. Hold on, guys. Hold on. I'm not saying we shouldn't have them.
I'm not opposed to charity drives at all. I'm not opposed
Neither
to
am
any
I,
kind of charity. But the fact of the matter is that we have to do these charity drives for our troops because they're not getting the toiletries, the luxury amenities that we take for granted here at home.
No, but what I'm saying is that if these men and women are government property, we shouldn't have to do any charity drives for them. The government should provide all that for them and more.
Good.
That is my point with it. I'm
that's
not saying,
a very good point.
Once again, when I say that all these charity drives are bullshit and stuff, it's not because them per se are, but the reason we have to do them is bullshit. Because once again, the government doesn't take care of their own property.
Right.
And even, like I said, worse, people do suffer trauma. When you see your best friend's brain blown out on your own skin, you're gonna get messed up in the head.
Oh, definitely.
And it's not fair or right that the government, upon returning home, let these people out in society and then
expect them to become like
some sort of productive member of society.
Exactly, right.
You spend how long training these people? You should spend as long
to
treating and rehabilitate them upon coming home.
Right. Rehabilitate them for at least a year before they retire or you discharge them.
Yeah, at least. And once again, that shouldn't be based upon civilian people donating money and stuff for those causes. That should go from the government fund because that's what a good government should do.
Right.
This isn't a new problem. Let's face it, the first biker clubs, motorcycle clubs, were formed by World War II veterans that returned home. And back then, there wasn't even such words as PTSD. But they couldn't adjust and adopt into regular society, and they felt the camaraderie between themselves. So once they were disposed of by the government, hey, they all got a couple of bikes, and they stood outside society. It wasn't a choice. People didn't wake up back then and say, oh, I think I'm going to be a 1%er and stand outside. These were veterans returning home that didn't get the treatment
that they needed to adjust to normal civilian life.
And that's 70 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's not a new problem.
And the government has yet to deal with it.
I know people
and the VA is in such shambles right now, too.
Well, it's been for years.
The thing is that what makes me mad is that the Pentagon is scrambling to spend $1 billion.
Yeah, before the end of the fiscal year.
Yes. And it's like, why are they sitting on all that money right there when they could very well allocate that money to veteran affairs.
Right. I mean, I know people that served in Vietnam that got injured in Vietnam and still to this day hasn't gotten treatment for their back injuries and stuff.
Right.
And how long ago is that? That's at least over 40 years.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm totally with you. The bullshit of the week. Government, wake up. Take care of your property. If that's what you want to treat these people like, then you should treat them like property till the end. Yeah. And the end isn't upon returning home. The end is...
You definitely have to compare it to... I mean, well, you don't have to compare it to, but I kind of compare it to, somebody who went to prison at an early age. Let's say 18, because that's the age that most people enlist in the military.
Yeah, and let's just hold it right there. People, think back to when you were 18. Back when you were 18, you thought you were grown up. Looking back on it being old, you're still a little kid at that age.
Right, exactly. So let's just say you dedicate at least 15 years of your life to the military, to being told what to do, how to do it, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You're not living civilian life.
Right.
And let's just compare that to somebody who was incarcerated for, 15 years at the age of 18. And that person gets out 15 years later.
Yeah.
And is expected to go into civilian life and be reformed? No.
But don't they have halfway houses and some sort of rehab programs
there are rehabilitation programs for these criminals. Why can't the government provide rehabilitation programs for these kids that joined the armed forces?
Yeah, it should be mandatory.
At the age of 18 and, 15 years later, they're getting out. Give them a year, train them, do whatever you need to do, psychological evaluations, take care of their ailments and stuff like that before they go out into civilian life.
Right, and here's another thing too. Civilian life, A, is hard to adjust to, but B, when it comes to work and stuff, it's not easy to come by in all states.
Right.
So I think too that the government should make the civilian parts of military work, that should go to vets first and foremost.
Right.
If you get honorably discharged, they should offer you the civilian positions that they have within the defense.
Exactly. So,
unfortunately, I don't think any politicians listen to this, but hey, if you're a podster, start writing your Congress people, your Senate people.
Take action. We need to take action. I think we sometimes feel like we're just a peon in this political cesspool of crud that the U.S. is in right now. But
part of it too is because we're not participating more than maybe voting.
Aren't voicing their opinions and writing to the people who will listen and eventually, hopefully, do something to improve the better of the communities, of the state, of the U.S., whatever, So let give yourself a voice. Write to your local politicians. Let them know what you're thinking, because I think a lot of politicians are so detached to the full reason of being a politician. You know what I mean?
Well, of course, because they say that you're for the people, but then again, if the people don't bug you, it's like, honestly, it's at work. When I tell people that if you don't tell me that something is wrong, I can't fix it because I don't know. So, of course, you're going to get detached if the people don't get their voices heard.
Right.
So, please, write your local congressman and demand that the government do something for vets.
Yeah, definitely.
They deserve better than what they have.
Yeah, I mean, whatever issue you feel strongly about, you really need to write your local government politicians and stuff like that, just so you can have your voice heard, just so you know that you did your part as a productive member of society.
Yep.
So on that, this weekend, I kind of did some lounging about, watching TV, and I came across this documentary of this guy who's, I want to say he's probably in his mid to late 30s.
Okay.
And he has a son that's getting ready to be 13. And this guy does not have a Facebook page. And his son, who's getting ready to be 13, wants a Facebook page. And the whole reason for the documentary is to determine whether or not he should be on Facebook and whether or not he should allow his child to be on Facebook.
Okay.
Because there's so many negative connotations when it comes to Facebook. And the biggest thing right now with Facebook is the privacy issue. And my question to you and to everybody else is Facebook bad? Or are the people that use Facebook bad in the sense that they misuse it?
Oh, are you asking me?
Yeah, you or the podsters out there. I want to know people's opinion on
Right.
this.
So for the podsters out there, you can leave a comment on SoundCloud and YouTube or on our Facebook page. Or if you want to remain completely anonymous, you can email us at thepodsters with a Z at gmail.com. And as for me, if you ask me, I think the people that use Facebook are the negative of Facebook.
Yeah.
In terms of, first off, if you want to go...
The overusage and improper usage of Facebook. And there's a lot of people that do it.
Well,
that just put too much information out there.
Well, that and
if you think about it, like, even without having a Facebook, without having any kind of social media, do you realize how easy it is for people to access your information?
Well, I mean,
and then
that's
if
part
you
of it,
have a Facebook
and I don't think
page
that's
and you
Facebook's
put
fault.
No, it's not Facebook's fault. But what I'm saying is, you have these people that put too much information out there on Facebook, which allows Facebook to use or misuse that information.
Well, I think we've had this little discussion in a previous program. But first of all, if you're out on the internet, Google, Apple, all these people track stuff. I mean, why do you think that when I open my Google, just search engine, the commercials for me are from guitar companies and music companies wanting to show me their latest stuff? In the little ads, because it's tracked, of course. Yeah. Because I go on.
It's called cookies.
Right. And that's just how it is. Number two, I think people are just... As much computer stuff we do every day, I think some people aren't aware on like how to check your privacy settings. The fact that you can regulate if people can search and find you on Facebook or not. I think that's just ignorance a lot of times, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then, yes, there's TMI. People use Facebook as a diary. And I think it's not Facebook's fault that people do that.
No,
I think that is
not.
Nobody asked me if I thought that Facebook was bad or the people who use it are misusing it. And I think that it's the people that use it that are misusing it or abusing it.
Yes, exactly. I have to agree with you.
Because, I mean, I have lockdown privacy settings on me. My posts are only shared with my friends. I only actually have friends that I have met in person. I don't accept random fucking... what's it called? Friend requests and stuff?
Yeah.
I don't collect friends, but I think that's part of... Some people are just so narcissistic.
Yes,
they live for likes.
Is a big... I guess that's what really blew Facebook up and all of social media, I think.
Well, all this Instagrams and this and that.
Yeah.
And it's somehow... But I think somehow for some people that aren't 100 secure in themselves... It's appealing to get hearts or whatever, you get thumbs up from a lot of people and a lot of people you don't like.
Yeah. And a lot of the times is what people post out there are a bunch of lies to just make themselves look better than, the next person on their friends list or something,
Yeah, it's a lot of keeping up with the Joneses and to have one over on the rest of the world kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, if you post a lot of that stuff, of course that can be misused, especially if you're trusting, so you have a bunch of people that aren't your true friends on your friends list.
Yeah.
Because if you start posting like, look at my new house I bought, and then you post a picture of your car with your license plate number and your new 72-inch TV and all that stuff, if there's burglars and stuff that can look that up, and then you post when you're on vacation and stuff, and they're gonna go there and break in.
The funny thing is that this guy on this documentary, he created himself a Facebook page, but it was a fictional character.
Uh-huh.
And all these people started friending him. And the funny thing is that he started reviewing everybody's profiles and stuff like that. And he was amazed to see that people have their addresses out there. They have their phone numbers out there. 17-year-old girls have their phone numbers on Facebook. And they go and friend request random schmoes.
Right, but I think...
And then the funny thing is it backfired on this one girl because he called her and he was like, hey, you requested to be my friend. What do you think? Let's be friends. Let's hang out. How do you feel about me calling you? Because your phone number's on Facebook.
Well, and that's the part of where I said where it's ignorance, where people don't understand how to set their settings, or they think that to put a phone number in where it says you can put your phone number is mandatory somehow.
Right.
And then they don't know how to hide it.
Yeah.
And that's on that poor girl. She's obviously not equipped enough to be on Facebook.
The funny thing is that a lot of people did this. A lot of people just friend requested this random stranger, and I think they forget that they have that information on their profile,
right?
And so they think that this person looks cool because he photoshopped a bunch of pictures of himself with celebrities and stuff like that.
Yeah, but isn't that another thing too?
And
that's
so
part of the...
people saw that was very appealing,
right? But isn't that part of the danger too, or annoyance or whatever, that people get swept up in a way with all this fictional bullshit? That,
people really don't think it's fictional. That's the sad thing.
Right. No, but they don't think it's fictional. But for me, if I got a random message from someone on Facebook, I wouldn't even bother replying if I don't know the person. So why do that and then be like, oh, I'm so swept away with this nice person that obviously knows Nelson Mandela and is skydiving. I mean, like you said, first off, it's probably just a lie to begin with. That person isn't the person it says it is. But it's feeding into that whole narcissism of people like me.
Yeah.
And
it's all about the likes.
Yeah. But once again...
And people get that rush when they get like 100 likes or more.
Right. But
or
once
whatnot,
again...
Or they have thousands of people following them and stuff.
But to me, that's not Facebook's fault. That's once again people who use it or misuse it.
Those are the people that make Facebook bad.
Right. So people out there in Cyberland, be responsible and do your share to make Facebook great again.
You better watch yourself before you wreck yourself. And on that note, it's been grand. I had a lovely time talking to you guys, even though nobody really listens. But hey, we're putting it out there.
Yes. And don't forget to leave your comments. Or if you really dislike us, get your own podcast.
You know what? If you dislike us, tell us.
Yes.
I want to know what you're thinking. Because did we stir some shit up there? Do you have to go take a crap now because we made your irritable bowel syndrome more irritable?
We'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.